Damon, I got a real question for you, brother.
Shoot.
Who needs bear repellent when you just got Brayden Burries?
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats postgame show live from Studio K, presented by the fine folks over at Circle K. I am your host, Damon Fairall, aka Damon Dog. That's my guy, Kevin Thomas, aka Kevo Post. And we are live from PHNX HQ3 in lovely, beautiful downtown Phoenix. And of course, we're presented by our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com. Use promo code BBPHNX and get 15% off your first order again at brandedbills.com. Kevin, I treated myself to a brand new Branded Bills here in the office today because, I don't know, it just caught my eye out of the corner of my eye. And I said, you know what? Don't mind if I do. It's just collecting dust there, and it's such a nice looking hat. I had to find it a new home, a home that it would be appreciated in. So I got my brand new Branded Bills hat on. And then I got an Arizona Wildcats W to celebrate, 87-80. Number 2, Arizona beats Baylor on the road in Waco in what could probably be constituted as a trap game. And Arizona ends up just being the better team over the course of 40 minutes. Gets the win, another step closer to a Big 12 title. Mr. Kevin Thomas, how are we feeling?
Like our backcourt is... Where would you rank this backcourt in the country? Like, it's incredible.
It's got to be up there,
when
for sure.
When they don't have the plague... It feels like this backcourt is one of the best in the country, right? Like Brayden Burries shooting up everybody's draft board, but that is not the important part tonight. Like, just his overall development as a basketball player, I think, is the takeaway tonight. His ability to, this is just the Brayden Burries side. We can get to the career high night for Jaden Bradley in a second, and we're going to get more to him later. But Brayden Burries tonight, I said it in my show tweet, Jaden Bradley got you there to the end of the game. Brayden Burries finished it, which usually is kind of a flip of the roles, as you and I were talking about pre-show, right? Usually it feels like Jaden Bradley is the one that maybe the team got you there, and he had some good contribution throughout the game, but then in that last 5 minutes, the offense is potently Jaden Bradley's. It was not that way tonight. Like, they were immense, the backcourt was tonight. A combined 49 points in this one from Brayden Burries and Jaden Bradley. 16 from 30. Good quick maths from your boy right there from the field. And then a 6 from 11 from the three. Like, tonight, It was incredible. And you're wondering, okay, Kevin, yeah, your guards, they can score. What else can they do? Can they rebound? 11 tonight between the two of them. Can they facilitate? 10 assists between the two of them. Jaden Bradley had 6 of them. It felt like tonight, Arizona's backcourt, and we knew that the backcourt would have to play well in this one. We talked on the pregame show about Jaden Bradley using this game as an opportunity to, y'all must have forgot kind of performance just because he had a couple down games in the middle of the season against some really tough teams. People on Twitter were talking crazy about Jaden Bradley. Crazy. And he comes out tonight and absolutely hoops. I know he didn't make every shot, Damon, but it felt like he made every shot tonight. And you asked me what my biggest takeaway was, and I think, yes, we can get into the Arizona winning not fully healthy and not with Koa Pete and blah, blah, blah. But the loudest thing for sure was that backcourt, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Jaden Bradley, as you said, has taken some arrows here the last couple of games with his recent run of play, and I think that he had himself a pretty good performance in the last game against Houston, especially, towards the end, really, started figuring some things out. But he missed a couple front ends. That was, I think frustrating for some fans. And then before that, a couple games of just not so great basketball from Jaden Bradley. Brayden Burries obviously has a little bit more of the excuse of he was sick, and I think that we all could very much see that he was not the same player out there on the court. Like tonight, I said it early on, right? Like it just felt like he was moving faster. Like he was not as sluggish from the jump. When he was getting the ball, he was attacking the basket immediately, no hesitation. And in those other games, he was maybe a little bit more methodical, dribbling it more so on the perimeter, trying to create space that way, because I don't think that he wanted necessarily to like have that level of contact driving to the basket like we're so used to Brayden Burries doing on a game-by-game basis, because he is so strong when he's attacking the basket. And Brayden Burries looked every bit like the player that we've become accustomed to seeing. Like I said, clear as day that he was just struggling with a little bit of, whatever illness he was dealing with. But both those guys were absolutely immense tonight. And yeah, the story has to be the backcourt, both their performances. And like you said, like it does feel like oftentimes it's Brayden Burries that's kind of carrying you through the meat of the game. And then once you get to the end, that's when Jaden Bradley calls his own number. Mariano Rivera enters Sandman out of the bullpen, and he's just hitting mid-range after mid-range. But in this game, it was a lot of Jaden Bradley 3-pointers in the middle portion, and then right at the end, Brayden Burries just chain snatched Baylor's soul. Kevin, I mean, the dunk killed a man on national television in front of everyone, and won't face a crime for it. The one place you could kill a man on a basketball court and get away with it. And then that dagger long too, I think they ended up calling it. But yeah, Brayden Burries dude's unbelievable. And all things are possible through this backcourt, Kevin.
I want to take this conversation in so many different directions because the backcourt was that good tonight. But I'll start with what the conversation is going on in the chat. James Waters, thanks for tapping in with us tonight, says, oh man, they hit some key threes. And I think that Jaden Bradley in particular, right? And we could maybe do this right now in segment 1 because we're talking about the backcourt, right? And we don't get to this point in the game. People in the chat might not like this decision, right? But we're going to talk about our king of the court tonight, and that is one Jaden Bradley, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for JB Smooth tonight. He was definitely smooth.
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah, smooth all the way to 25, 6, and 6.
Don't do it to him, Smooth.
He was incredible tonight. JB Smooth was doing it to him tonight, Damon.
That's a little peek behind the curtain for people. I think we referenced it a little bit, but Kevin and I can't stop talking to each other like that every time Jaden Bradley hits a bucket. So I think we're just going to start bringing it to the people here a little bit more so.
Yeah, Jaden Bradley's doing random dribble moves in the taking the ball up the court, going through his legs. We're like, oh, Smooth, okay, breaking out the bag. I see you.
Chris Trick's not happy with your decision for JB Smooth.
I know.
Are you serious? He says.
I know, but listen.
Defend it, Kevin.
We're talking about the big threes that Jaden Bradley hit in this game, and there were some moments in this game where Baylor was trying to take over the game. They were trying to take over, and Jaden Bradley stomped on it and said, no, not happening. Now, Brayden Burries took over the end of the game and won you the game. He did with that dunk, with that what really should have been a 3, even though his foot might have been on the line. They were dueling banjos for who was going to win King of the Court tonight. But I felt you don't even get an opportunity for Brayden Burries to win you the game in the end if Jaden Bradley's not going off from the perimeter. I mean, look, man, if we're just calling a spade, Karchenkov went 1 for 4 from 3. Burries 1 for 3 from 3. That's no diss. But you got, 2 for 5 from ADO, and then that's it. You needed the extra perimeter scoring in this one, and Jaden Bradley gave you that. Now, Brayden Burries gave you just about everything else. Transition play, defense, rebounding, to Chris's point, discipline, no fouls, no turnovers. The man was incredible. And I think tonight, Brayden Burries proved that it doesn't matter who you think is the best player on Arizona. It doesn't matter who you think is the leader of the team, whatever. That guy is a top 10 draft pick this year. And I think that everybody that was watching this game tonight, you have to come away thinking that at the very least, right? The man has hops. The man has defense. The man has – I said it on Twitter, Damon. I don't know your take on this, right? I feel like Brayden Burries might be maybe like Michael Brown with Louisville. Maybe some of these other I don't know. I think Brayden Burries is the best transition basketball guard in the country right now. I think he's that good in transition. I think he's that fast. I think he's that physical. I think he's that quick of a processor when it gets down to it, what pass he needs to make, Does he need to drive and try to draw a foul? Does he need to take it back out and go to the corner and reset the offense? Like, he's so good in transition. This backcourt tonight, to me, we talk a lot about the front court, how dominant Arizona's front court is, how they're going to get you to a Final Four, this, that, and the third. In March, you need performances like this from your backcourt. Now, you might not need 49 points every night in March from your backcourt, but in that mid-30s range between Burries and Bradley would be chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. And I think you can really get that, whether it's 22 from Burries and 10 from Bradley or 15 and 15 with good assist numbers. That those boys, when they're not sick with the plague, can hoop, Damon Dog.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's not get it twisted. Kevin and I are not disrespecting Brayden Burries. That was a very, very close king of the court tonight.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Could have gone either way, and no one would be sitting here, and Kevin and I certainly wouldn't be arguing with you. You're a moron. And you thought Brayden Burries was the best player? No chance. I think that, this was about as close as it gets. Jaden Bradley maybe has been playing at a little bit of a lower level the last couple of weeks. And I think that to Kevin, in my opinion, he was a little bit more responsible for keeping you in the game when the offense, maybe not the offense, when the defense was sputtering a bit and Baylor was kind of scoring at will. And you needed those 3-pointers in a big way, or else this game could have gotten ugly fast. Now, Brayden Burries was the one that finished this game, and there's no doubt about that. And both of those guys have every shout to be player of the game tonight, king of the court. Brayden Burries plays 39 minutes as well and doesn't commit a turnover or a foul, Kevin. This backcourt, tonight played like best backcourt in the country. I think there have been plenty of times where you could probably have that argument that this is the best backcourt in the country. And I don't think that like a 2-3 game, kind of lull in the middle of the season should really change people's opinions on that.
Yeah, and that's fair. But I do, and to your point, I think it was very wise that you brought up the level of play coming into this game. I think that Jaden Bradley, in part, gets king of the court. Obviously, he deserved it with the level of play he had tonight. But I think, in part, what helps us make that decision is, yes, he got you to the point where Brayden Burries could win the game for you. But also, like we said in the opener of this show, he was taking a lot of arrows, albeit unfairly, on the social medias about his level of play over the last 3 or 4 games.
On the
snap faces and the tactics and all this stuff, right? Like, he was taking all types of shots, right? Now, tonight, he was taking all types of shots, and they went in on the basketball court. And that's really what's going to keep people off his back. And I think Jaden Bradley, to have this performance, you needed this performance from your guy. In my opinion, I know that Brayden Burries as an individual is a hooper, and I'm not trying to in any way say he needs Jaden Bradley to do this, that, and the third. He don't need nobody to be a hooper. Brayden Burries is a hooper on his own, on an 8-man team, on a 1-man, 2-man, 5-man team, right? But I do think it certainly helps when you have a guy who you can look up to your right and be like, all right, if I don't have a good look I like on this possession, I know I can give it to JB and he can make something work. Right? And I think it gives you a whole different level of comfort to play within yourself as a freshman than JB don't got it tonight. We don't got Koa. ADO is playing not to the same level of the supernova he was playing. It's all on my shoulders, which he can do. We've seen him do it at times. But I think it's a lot easier for Brayden Burries to get into his game when he's playing next to a guy who's demanding so much gravity when he drives the ball.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that, Brayden Burries is he put together a performance tonight that certainly, as I said, is every bit deserving of winning the king of the court. Kevin and I would not be arguing that, but yeah, it's a tough decision here. And this is not a situation where we're, trying to go against Brayden Burries, not in any way, shape, or form.
That was spiritual tonight. I could never say a bad word about Brayden Burries on this night.
It could have been a dual king of the court between the two of them, truly.
Maybe it should have. Maybe it really should have been. But, yeah, I think that, Jaden Bradley deserves it. Brayden Burries also deserved it. The backcourt, we're getting caught up on the king of the court thing. What matters most is the performance on the court tonight from the boys. And they, as a tandem, were incredible. And I think when we're talking about where Baylor succeeded in this one, right, it was a lot of just big shot making from Cam Carr. Big moments, right? When Baylor felt like they needed a bucket, Cam Carr was there for them.
Yeah.
When Arizona felt like they needed a bucket, you had 2 guys you felt were there for you tonight. Brayden Burries and Jaden Bradley, and they were immense the whole way through. Now,
I did feel like, I will say, when in regards to Cam Carr, and not to take anything away from him because he is a really intriguing player. And you mentioned, you big upped him on pregame, Kevin. I mean, he's pretty lengthy. He can score from a lot of different places on the basketball court. He's athletic. 26 points on 11 of 19. Felt like the defense was lacking a bit from especially in I think in the first half of that game. You turn it up a little bit in the second half there, but it wasn't exactly Arizona's cleanest defensive game, giving up 80 to the 14-14 Baylor Bears.
No, I mean, we can talk about that right now. I mean, we can do a little bit of Cam Carr thing, or do you want to talk the defense thing? Because I think
they're somewhat related, but I do think that Cam Carr is a really, really good scorer.
Yes.
So I don't think that should get twisted here in this conversation, but that was not Arizona's level of defense that I watched tonight.
I totally agree with you, Damon. And I think let me pull this up on my phone, because I think I had taken a photo on my phone. I sound like an old man. I think I took a snap on my phone there of the shot chart from Baylor in the first half. I did. Now, I didn't want to pull this up because I don't know what the rules are with us grabbing stuff from ESPN and trying to show it. But Baylor in the first half, they did an incredible job of working it in low. Right? I think Arizona did a very bad job of, and no, I'm not going to rock just a stash, Eduardo. You want to see these skills? I don't think you do. Either way, Arizona did a bad job of keeping Baylor out of the paint. Baylor did a good job of working Arizona's bigs, right? I mean, Tobe Waco a little bit banged up in this one. Krivas was, I felt like he was kind of letting the refs get in his head a little bit. Like if he wasn't getting a call, or if he got a call that he didn't think was a call, he would. A lot more reactive tonight from Krivas. And I felt
disaster start.
I felt like the first half, Arizona kind of let Baylor dictate too much on that end of the court. I think in the second half, I'd have to look at the shot chart for the second half, but I would assume Arizona did a much better job of forcing Baylor at least a couple feet out of the paint for a lot of their shot attempts. I think you saw that with them trying to go to more like curl actions for Cam Carr, trying to get him away from the paint out to the hash so he could do more space, like off motion shooting and stuff like that. Arizona's defensive intensity in the first half, though, Damon, I think that was the main issue, right? Like, and I personally, maybe you feel differently, maybe chat feels differently. Let us know if you feel differently. But I was not that bothered by the level of intensity, I'll say, in the first half, because this is like the classic letdown game. And like I said on the pregame, I don't think that they mentally let themselves fall into that. But there is a physical aspect of things. We were talking to Saul Bookman after the Houston game. We were talking to Saul Bookman after some of the other games he's been to. And he's talking about without Koa Pete, these guys are putting their all into these games to win them. Ivan Karchenkov's walking off the court, per our Saul Bookman, doubling over at the hip and being like, whew, like that was a performance I just had to put on to help my team win. And I think that on a human level, you're away from home. You're staying in Texas for the week. Like, no excuse for, as Corey Williams likes to say, getting tired in your 20s, right? Like, no excuse for that. But I do think that there's an understandable reason as to why maybe this was not the highest intense level, balls to the wall, pardon my French there, of Arizona defense, right? It feels like I'm more content that they found a way to adjust and overcome that in the second half, and that they didn't let it bleed into the second half, than I am upset that it happened at all in the first. I think it's almost somewhat natural for you to have like an emotional or physical letdown in that moment. However, in the second half, you cannot let it bleed through. Arizona did a good job of not letting it bleed through, in my opinion.
I think when you're sandwiching these high-profile top 15 games with a game against Baylor, that's like the classic letdown spot. And obviously, you need to win these games if you want to win a Big 12 championship. Like, I think that much was clear tonight. And that's what that's the drum I kept hammering, is that, this game needs to be treated as if it's against a ranked opponent, because it might as well be when you're talking about for the Big 12 title race. But now you have Kansas on Saturday. You just beat Houston on last Saturday, and that's a top 5 team. Kansas being top 15 and one of your 2 losses this year. So you've had that one marked on your calendar for a minute of like, we want some retaliation for how we lost that last game. I think that, yeah, it's natural human instinct to kind of have this be a letdown spot. And in the long run, over the course of 40 minutes, as I said off the top, the better team won. Arizona, was able to, I think, remain calm. And I think that honestly, that might be one of this team's best traits, is that you can tell when things are getting a little bit ahead of them, and a team is maybe taking it to them a little bit. Like they're very headstrong. They don't start freaking out for the most part. Now, we can talk about some inbound stuff late in games, and we had a little bit more issues tonight.
Football.
But it's I do feel like that this team, like especially in the middle of games when they're down like 6 points, 5 points, and another team is going on a slight run, they always find a way to respond. Those threes from Jaden Bradley were so massive tonight, for example, in terms of response. So I think that this team is being battle tested right now. It's Big 12 play. Baylor is probably not your typical 4-10 in their conference team. Like if they were in the ACC, what would be Baylor's record, you think?
Ooh,
like a 500 team?
Pardon me. What's their Big 12 record?
4-10.
4-10?
4-11 now after Arizona wins tonight.
They probably have like 7 or 8 conference wins, right?
Yeah, I think that they're like a close to 500 team in the ACC, right? And they're probably like, they're maybe a win or two away from being considered like a tournament team in that conference. And that's just that's the Big 12. They have a couple really, really good players. They don't have enough, though, to hang with Arizona over the course of an entire basketball game. And we saw that play out. And I really liked what I saw from a Arizona mentality standpoint. I was talking about it in pregame a lot of like, this is where you show like a kind of a conference champion mentality is in these type of moments. And you're down 7 at half and you win the next half by 14, Kevin.
Yeah.
I think that's it right there.
That is it right there. And also, I think it speaks to something that we didn't mention during the backcourt segment, which is fair because there was a lot to talk about during that backcourt segment. But the poise, right? You knew you had poise in Jaden Bradley. Now you got poise in Brayden Burries and Jaden Bradley. And I think that is something that is truly, truly boot-shakingly scary if you're the rest of the Big 12 that yet has to face Arizona, if you're Iowa State, if you're Colorado, if you're some of these other teams at Kansas. Right? The revenge aspect of it all, that's not really an X's and O's thing. I don't think Bill Self is worried about that. I think Bill Self is worried about how do we slow down Brayden Burries in the last 5? Because he's not phased by the moment, and they're going to be at home. Right? So I think that the poise, not only of the backcourt, Karchenkov, Waco, I think Krivas is trying to get there. I think he's had really good moments of poise this season, but like I said, I think if the game does not necessarily start from a reffing perspective in a pro Krivas way, I think, I'm not going to say he always does it, but I think he has a slight tendency to sometimes start to roll his eyes and let the game kind of dictate him as opposed to him dictating the game. But overall, this team has an incredibly high level of poise. And when Espo, you know what, Damon, you're a lot smarter than me, is what I'm really saying here. Because this morning I was on Southwest Bias, and Espo asked me, what makes this team...
Some people have been saying for a little bit.
We didn't have to go that far. You're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it.
And by people, I mean me, just when you're not around, right when you walk out the door, when you leave, usually I go, God, just sometimes with Kevin, it's like I'm dealing with... Me and him are just intellectually, it's just not... It's different planes, different playing fields.
It's a mismatch. We're trying to knuck up, and anyway. But look, what was I even saying? Oh, yeah. Espo asked me this morning, what makes this Arizona team different from past Arizona teams that have been lauded as elite and lauded as the next Final Four contender? And I went through the whole litany of reasons as to why this team's great. The balance, the experience, the youth, all of it. But I think what makes this team separate from 01, 14, 15, those teams, right? Poise. Like genuine, been there before, even though they haven't been there before, type of poise. You think Ivan Karchenkov, and who knows, maybe we get to the moment and it does happen, but you think Ivan Karchenkov, you're not going to bet on him being ready for a Final Four moment? I'm betting on Ivan being mentally ready for that moment. You're going to bet on Koa Pete not being ready for this moment. I'm going to bet on Koa Pete being ready for big game moments. Jaden Bradley, Brayden Burries, Tobe Awaka, Tommy Lloyd, like the whole squad is built. Tommy Lloyd always says we're built for it. He's talking about that, right? He knows that in between the ears, his team is built differently than past teams he's had. And that's no diss to past teams. What this team has seemingly is special and should be appreciated. And that's why we try to come on this podcast as much as possible and tell you all that this team is special. Enjoy every moment of this team. The ups, the downs, the big, the 12, right? Like it's all a part of the ride. And I think this year is a year that hopefully we look back on years down the road and go, man, we're comparing teams, right? Oh, this Kentucky team, they got nothing on the 20, 25, 26 Wildcats, like of Arizona, because they don't have the poise that Brayden Burries. Like, I think that this team has some intangible things, and the poise is one of them that like really sets them apart from some other teams in that same kind of class. The Michigans, the Dukes. Duke has it too. Cameron Boozer has that too. I don't know if the whole roster has it the way Arizona does. I'm not watching every Duke game the way I watch every Arizona game, but it feels like that's what sets them apart in the top of the echelons there.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And I definitely feel that, like, when I think about last year's team, I think they had the mentality. I think they had that kind of Big 12, we'll put our hands in the dirt. It takes every single defensive possession. Each game is a war type of mentality. I just don't think that they necessarily had the talent level that was required, right? And I think that this year you had a big kind of influx in talent. You saw kind of those upper echelon freshmen come in through the building, through the door. And I think that could be the difference maker in between, because I think last year was the first year of the Big 12, but first year of Tommy Lloyd trying to instill that, Kelvin Sampson-esque type of toughness into his team that he'll mention, right? Like, we want to be like Houston. We look at what they do and how they built their program and how they've joined the Big 12 and how they've won the conference. And we say, we're going to try to copy that. And I think that, this roster is that perfect mix of elite upper echelon talent plus that mentality. And Tommy did a great job, not only recruiting from positionally and trying to find guys that are good enough to play Arizona basketball, but he found the right people as well. There's no question about that. He well and truly did. And, you look at guys like Brayden Burries, who might not have had the dream start to their college career, been the best player on this team for 2/3 of the season at this point. Like Jaden Bradley, getting a lot of crap from people in the news. All of a sudden, people on this podcast, I'll put my hand up. I've been hard on JB the last couple of games because he's your senior. Like, you need him to, be Mr. Consistency, because that's all he's ever been at Arizona is Mr. Consistency. And he goes out there and he responds in a huge way when you need him with a shorthanded team tonight. Like, this team is built for it. And I do think that this isn't the type of team where I think that even if they get down in a March Madness game, you shouldn't put your head down as a fan and be like, well, another Sweet 16 run and that's it. Like, I think if this team is down 8, I'm feeling 50-50 that that they're coming back in this game, even no matter who the opponent is. Like, I really do truly think they're built for it.
Yeah, I do as well. Damon and I are going to continue breaking down this game, as well as potentially throwing it ahead to KU a little bit later at the end of the pod. We're doing all that and more here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like. Looking at you. Drink your water. Stick around. Do not go anywhere. Damon, I got to tell you something. If you have been in an accident, if anyone in the chat has been in an accident and experienced a serious injury or, heaven forbid, a wrongful death litigation related to that accident, there's only one number to call. And I encourage you to do your research, because that's the most important part. But I'm telling you, once you do your research, you're going to get right back to this name, the Husband and Wife Law Team. And when you reach the Husband and Wife Law Team, you'll learn that it's just simply different there. It really is. I know they say that about the Celtics and stuff like that. It's different here, but it's really different there with the Husband and Wife Law Team. They care about their clients. And what do you mean they care about their clients, Kevin? Well, let me tell you. They make promises to you. Ever heard about that? A lawyer making promises to you and not just showing up and being like, oh, I got no shot, kid. No. Husband and Wife Law Team, they make promises to you. Like, you can call them at any time to talk about anything related to your case, or I guess not related to your case. You can also just say, hey, I had a banging ham and cheese today, Mark and Alexis Breyer, and they're like, good on you, Damon Dog. But also you can cancel your
where?
Just up the street, Circle K. Of course, no one can guarantee the outcome of a legal case, but like I said, they're going to tell you the strengths and the weaknesses of your case to make sure you're working with a full deck of cards. And that's what's most important to me. I love working with all the information possible. You may speak with our lawyers as often as you choose about anything, even that ham sandwich. So if you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first, 602-783-8841, or visit their website at the link in our show notes below.
I asked Kevin from where, and he knows exactly where. It's Circle K. It's America's thirst stop. It's the only place if you need a little bit of refueling before your day starts. Maybe you want to pick up a breakfast sandwich. Maybe you want to pick up an iced coffee. Circle K has it all, guys. They got the caffeine deals for you. If you're an Inner Circle Rewards member, of course, all the savings are right in front of you. And we love the gas savings that are a part of the Inner Circle Rewards program as well, guys. The gas savings, 25 cents off per gallon when you first sign up on your first 5 fill-ups at the tank. That's a lot of savings. And then you'll save 3 cents off per gallon every time you fill up until you hit premium status, like me and Kevin, and you save 5 cents off per gallon every single time you fill up. You just got to plug that phone number in at the tank. It's free. It's so simple, and the savings are really easy to get a part of. Free membership program, easy to download and get enrolled. And then, it's just that phone number, like I said. So get involved with those meal deals, get involved with those caffeine deals, and get involved with those gas deals over at the Inner Circle with our friends at Circle K. Download that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply. At participating locations, visit circlek.com for details.
Damon, are you seeing this? Are you seeing what's going on in our chat room right now?
No.
Noah Conley, shout out to you. Clearly a Michigan State Spartan fan, but says,
We're trying to take that number 1 ranking, brother. I promise you. We're doing our best.
I love betting on you guys. Zona has made me 5+ K off them this year alone.
Man's like Noah.
Also says, -110 live. Arizona money line was a nuke versus terrible Baylor. I think Zona can win it all. Shout out to you, Noah, making some serious bread off the Arizona Wildcats. I would like a little bit of that NIL kickback, if I may say so myself. But yeah, no, that's a big time profit. Thanks for tapping in with us tonight for sure.
Yeah, shout out Noah. Appreciate you, brother. And glad that the Wildcats are able to put some money in your pocket. Unfortunately, I took the Arizona spread of 8.5 last night, Kevin. That did not hit, as you can see. That scoreboard above Kevin's head right there. 1 bucket away. 1 bucket away from a cover from me, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm happy with just the W tonight, because that means that I think that certainly we're a Colorado win away from a share of a Big 12 title.
Yeah, right.
That's a guarantee at this point, with Kansas beating Houston on Big Monday. So that gives Arizona a huge leg up, and then essentially Arizona has to split against Iowa State and Kansas, both home games. You win one of them, you're the solo Big 12 champions. And so, Arizona in a really good spot with both those games being at home, and with Colorado not being one of the tougher opponents on this year's schedule. You got this Kansas game on the horizon, Kevin, a team that beat you last time out, top 15 team in the country. And then they go and they put belt to ass to Houston on Big Monday. Bill Self, 41-0 on Big Monday, dude. And I bet on Kansas underdog solely because of that stat. I said it to my roommates, Kevin. It's like Mike Tomlin on a standalone football game on national TV as an underdog. You bet it every single time.
Dude, and printing money.
And you ask questions later. I sit there and I tell you, Bill Self does not lose on Monday nights. He's an underdog. Do you want to take that plus money bet? You say, absolutely. Where do I sign up? How much are they going to allow me to put down? Because it's automatic that Bill Self wins on Big Monday. And then, now they've built up a lot of momentum for themselves, I feel like. They obviously lost that Cincinnati game, but they're feeling like they could beat anybody, especially a team that they already beat in Arizona. And I really do think that, that's going to be a banger matchup on Saturday.
I do want to preview that a little teaser preview at the end of our pod here.
Yeah, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. It's because that's all I want to talk about.
It's very fair. We got hopefully, a healthy Darren Peterson coming. Relatively healthy. The man has a bad hamstring, but it feels like it, at least, right? Because you seen the videos Sam Vecini has put out a little bit? We can talk about that later. But it feels like Darren Peterson.
About who?
Darren Peterson's hamstring. Or the quad, whatever the hell they're calling it. Whatever injury Darren Peterson had early in the season.
DP watch.
Yeah.
We'll workshop that.
We might have to. But I think in terms of what's been going on with him, I implore anyone to go look at what Sam Vecini's posted. It's really important stuff, in my opinion, because the bounce he had in high school, zapped, it feels like. So I don't think he's working with a full deck of cards, to steal my husband and wife law team thing that I usually say. But I think he is kind of banged up. And I that's my indication, just watching the games. So hopefully we get as healthy as possible with Darren Peterson coming to Tucson, so that we can really, really see what Arizona has against Kansas, and really see what Kansas has against Arizona in Tucson. But let's finish wrapping up this Baylor game.
I want to talk a little bit more about the front court, Kevin, because I feel like we spent, obviously the first portion of that talking about the backcourt. Tobe Awaka puts up an insane amount of rebounds early. I think he had 11 by the halfway point in the second half. Wow. Finishes with 13. I know that you had the opinion that he could go for 22 rebounds tonight. Not quite. We were trending in that direction for a minute. He gets 5 offensive boards though, which I think is a big deal there. And then you have Mo Krivas, who at halftime, Kevin, had 2 points, 0 rebounds.
What?
Yeah. 2 points and 0 rebounds, I believe, at half. Finishes with 12 points and 4 rebounds. So second half puts up a pretty solid stat line. In our membership Discord, if you guys want to sign up, become a diehard, I believe we have a combine sale going on right now, Kevin.
We do.
It's $36 to become a diehard right now.
Yes.
You can get a $35 red line turnover sort of t-shirt on our ALLCITY Network locker. And that is only for $1 more value. You get access to the Discord, discounted events. Great deal going on our website for all diehards right now. $36 for 1 year diehard membership with that free t-shirt, like I said. But in the Discord, I sent the Cam Newton meme that's been flying around the streets, the Twitter streets in the last couple months here, Kevin. Because I'm saying, Mo Krivas, you're supposed to be our number 1. You better start doing your job. And 2 points, 0 rebounds, unacceptable. Puts up a pretty solid performance in that second half. Kevin gets a big rebound at the end to kind of ice the game. What did you see from, I guess, the first half to the second half of Mo Krivas? Did you know that it was that stark of a difference?
I did not know it was that stark of a difference. I think I was so caught up on watching like Brayden Burries, Carr, all these elite shot makers in this game, Jaden Bradley, that I think I did kind of like lose track of the improvement Mo Krivas had from one half to the next. But like I said in earlier on in this show, Damon, I think like I was most, I don't want to use the word disappointed. I'm not the man's father. I was most underwhelmed, I'll say, with Mo Krivas' lack of I mean, they're hacking the man. They really are. But he's got to find more. If they're hacking him and he can't get into the paint to get shots off, I think he's got to be more effective in other areas of the game. I specifically think about rebounding, right? Like Tobe Awaka, I mean, look, he is an immense rebounder, maybe the best in the country, if not the best, top 3 for sure. One of the best rebounding talents we've seen in recent memory. So I'm not really going to hold Krivas to that standard. But man, I look at it, and maybe this is a casual way to look at it, but I got eyes. He's 7'2". He's massive. We know he's got decent feet. We know he's not a slug out there. He can kind of move. It baffles me that he doesn't get more boards in these kind of games where, like, is Powell really that strong? Like, I could see him being pretty strong, but is he strong enough to prevent Krivas from doing what he needs to do? Like, I don't think so. He shouldn't be, right?
Krivas is big enough where that's almost like that's why he's out there, right? Like, if his size should be almost dominant carryover across every game, unless he's facing up against another guy who's also 7'1", 7'2", right? Like, those guys those bigs Baylor had out there tonight are nowhere close to the monstrosity that is Mo Krivas.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off like early season Krivas takes that I'm having, right? Because the improvement he's made from off season to now is nuts, right? Like the rust he's shaken off, the strides he's made. But I do think like whether they're calling fouls or not on Krivas, he has to rebound the ball better. Right? Like, you cannot end a half with 0 rebounds. I don't care if you had 3 fouls in the first 1 minute. I need you to go out and get a board in that 60 seconds you're on the court before I sit your ass for having 3 fouls. I'm not saying that's the situation with Krivas, but I am saying he needs to maximize his rebounding when he is out there because Arizona can dominate anybody in the country if they're rebounding at a high level with Krivas and Awaka and Burries and Karchenkov and Pete, if he's healthy. Like, this is an insanely talented rebounding team. So I think Mo Krivas, like, to steal the Monty Williams-ism, I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you up. Because I know he can do better, right? I'm not trying to shit on him.
Worked with Ayton.
Not much has ever worked with that guy. But I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, but really, I'm not trying to, like, poo-poo him. I'm just trying to say, like, for as good as he is, because he is that good, he should be rebounding better in some of these games, right? Yeah,
no doubt about it. I mean, I think, that first half performance was probably the rebounding. You're getting out rebounded by 5 at half against Baylor. Yeah. And I think it showed on the stat sheet as well. And then you end up winning the rebounding battle by 7. to avoid back-to-back rebounding battle losses. I mean, that almost feels worse than the back-to-back losses that Arizona sustained.
Way worse.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a vibes killer, man.
100% unacceptable. You can't be losing on the rebounding battle, but you end up winning that second half rebounding margin by quite a bit there. But yeah, I mean, probably a big contributor to that was Big Mo getting beat on the boards and just overall really not playing the best half. And it does feel like he's been letting the fouls get to him a little bit more. So his consistency hasn't necessarily been there, Kevin. He's given you like a lot of like flashes, say against Kansas, right? That's a good example where like he's kind of dominating the game at portions. And then at the end of the game, Flory Badunga is just making him jump at every single pump fake because he's just all over the place. He's got him guessing. I think that he needs to steady out a little bit more and kind of give you a little bit more consistent play, even if it's not quite the same highs, but without the lows as much.
Yeah, and I would love to ask him, maybe we should bug Nate and get him on the pod, because I really would love to ask Krivas specifically, like, how difficult is it to be a consistent big at your size, being asked to do what you're always asked to do in the conference in which you're asked to do it, and they're just hacking you, and they're hacking you, and they're hacking you. In some games you get calls, in other games you get none. So I wonder how, just like on a human level, mentally difficult that is to be consistent with your effort, be consistent with your mentality, and be consistent with your execution when you know you're going to get the shit kicked out of you, but are you going to get protected? You know what I mean? In this game from the referees. I would love to ask Krivas, like, if that's at all difficult to be consistent and also get hacked and also not know if the refereeing is going to be anywhere near the same as the last time you played.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's certainly probably a factor, right? I mean, you look at, I know like the comparison isn't exactly apples to apples, but like, I remember when Tyler Warden made that tweet about Zach Edey, who's obviously 7'4", but like the way that guy got officiated in college basketball versus a guy like Mo Krivas, it's almost like there's like a threshold, like on a parabola where like if you reach this amount, if you're this tall, you get more help from the refs. But if you're this tall, you get the least amount of help from the refs. But if you're this tall, and you're like under 6'8", all of a sudden the refs want to help you again. Like it's weird with Mo Krivas. Like he's 7'2", and it almost, you would think that maybe that would lead to some obvious fouls, guys that just are clearly too small to be guarding him, and that's their one way, is trying to get a little bit too physical. But yeah, for whatever reason, that guy just, I don't know. He pisses off the refs in some way, shape, or form. He's got the Damon effect.
Just showing up, making people mad that you showed up.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I do want to talk about our buy the numbers for this game. I love the play of the game, and then talk a little bit of KU before we get out of here. But before we do that, we do have some super chats to get to. I want to do this before I forget to get to these. They're very important to us. You guys are paying us money to chat with us. That's incredible. Thank you to my mother, who has my phone number, has my social security number, and still chooses to super chat on this show. Hit the like button, family, from my family to yours.
Familia.
Yes.
Definitely. As my guy Eduardo would put in the chat, and Eduardo, you're going to have to translate that one for me off air, hit my DMs. But shout out June. Appreciate your support, as always.
Leave a like, as she says. If you have not done that already, I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. Arizona did their part, got the win tonight. We're doing our part. Time for you to do your part. Leave a like on this stream if you've enjoyed at least a second of it. If you haven't, leave a like so maybe someone else can try it out later. AZ Cats G with a super chat. Not a buzzer beater, but a super chat. Nonetheless, we appreciate you. It's great celebrating the Arizona win, but tonight I am celebrating the arrival of my Red Line t-shirts that I ordered back in December. What?
AZ Cats G, feel free next time to hit me or Kevin up. We'll try to fix that for you. We'll talk to Espo. We can try to attempt to help on things like that. We're a small enough company where we can hit the back channels and be like, hey, I got my guy AZ Cats G, supporting club member, one of the goats.
He's
of
bought
the
10 shirts with
AZ
the
Wildcats podcast. Super chats us all the time. Like we got to help this guy out. So feel free to hit us up. We're always a resource for you guys. We want to try to make sure that, we can get that stuff to you a little bit more efficiently, but appreciate you for your continued support, AZ Cats G, and let us know in the chat, how are those Red Line t-shirts looking? Pretty fire, right? Get it for free
boing.
as a part of that $36 diehard sale, $35 value on that t-shirt alone, and then $1 rest of the benefits that you get. It's fantastic.
Carl Schroeder, $5 super chat. Recruited some new Wildcat fans here in Yukon territory. Okay, out in the Yukon. That's tough. Need to go 2-1 in the final 3 to lock up the conference. Bear down. I love that from you, Carl. Thank you for your super chat and your consistent support of this pod and the missionary work you're doing is for the Wildcats. It's incredible.
BDSU, bear down, sleeves up, and that's that.
Yeah.
I mean, without mentioning, we'd be remiss, Kevin. Becky Burke, what a win tonight for the Arizona women's basketball team.
Yes,
beating Houston in a game, albeit kind of bottom feeders of the conference type of stuff that's going on. But you like to see Arizona women's basketball get rewarded for. I feel like they just consistently they've been playing like very close games with everybody all season long, and they can't find ways to get in the W column. And I think that every win is a big win for Becky Burke at this stage in year one.
Man. Every win feels like 3 wins. You and I were talking about it, like, I don't know, maybe after the first quarter of that game or after the third quarter of that game. But we were talking about how Becky Burke deserves a couple wins.
No doubt.
Because it feels like from our perspective outside the locker room, not knowing anything going on, not being able to speak to the X's and O's of what's going on, it feels like she's coaching her ass off, right? It feels like Becky Burke is doing a great job of coaching this year's basketball team when it definitely could have went out a deal. You know what I mean? It could have went out real chaotic, real toxic, real not good, right? But Becky Burke seems to have that true bear down, sleeves up mentality, right? Like Becky Burke seems to be built for this if we're going to keep doing all the Tommy Lloyd and Becky Burke isms, right? Like I think that this is a coach that cares about the program she has inherited, cares about winning in the Big 12, and wants to put players on the team that can do that. This year, maybe you don't have the level of talent that winning in the Big 12 would dictate, but it feels like you're making chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what, in all due respect to the players on the team, because there is some talented players on the team, but you don't have depth.
That was a Johnny Venerable right there. Johnny does the respectfully, all of the players are chicken shit.
Well, dude, you don't have depth. You lose your best scorer on the team. Samaya Sugapong is being asked to do insane things offensively. Cam Kitchen's role has been tripled overnight. Like the players in their own defense are being asked to do a lot for a lot of players who are taking a big step up in competition, right? So I'm not saying they're garbage. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be on the team like Jerome Tang. But I'm saying there's still yet a lot of development needed to be a competitive team in the Big 12 if this is the roster you're going to put out.
Yeah, it's not Kansas State where like they have talent and they're just not really playing to the level or playing hard, right? Like this team is playing extremely hard. You can tell that they maybe aren't Big 12 level basketball players. That's fine. It's year one, right? And what you've asked to see is consistent effort, consistently being in these games, playing above your head and level a little bit. And I think that you have gotten that from the women's basketball team. So congrats on getting another conference win, the third Big 12 win for Becky Burke here. And, at the end of the season, a little DJ horn for Becky Burke. But let's get back into this Baylor game for a second. And Kevin, what direction do you want to take this? You want to look at the numbers, I believe.
Yeah, let's go by the numbers here. Presented by nobody. 87-80. By the numbers. And that's really what matters most. You get the W on the road without Koa Pete, without Dwayne Aristode, banged up ADO, banged up Waco from what we could tell. Jaden Bradley bleeding from the nose. Everything going against Arizona, and they get the dub in this one on the road. Even shooting performance, 49-49 from the field. Now, this is where Arizona shined. We talked about why Jaden Bradley gets the king of the court. It is because he accounts for over half of your three-point makes in this one in part. That's because of why, but 43%, 9 for 21. Baylor, 32%, 7 for 22. Cam Carr was phenomenal. The rest of Baylor, less so from beyond the arc. Arizona out-rebounds Baylor. Second chance points. I had to put this one on here, Damon. Second chance points. Arizona outscores Baylor 25-14, and it's a huge reason why you win this game. Turnovers. Arizona did a great job of limiting those in the second half. First half, a little bit sloppy, specifically the first half of the first half, but 7-5 total turnovers. What sticks out to you, Damon Dog?
I think the second chance points are huge. I already mentioned Tobe Awaka's 5 offensive rebounds, Kevin. How about Ivan Karchenkov, 6 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds? How does that make you feel?
Man, it makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm watching absolute Karchenkov. There were some times in this game, Damon, where he off the miss was just flying to the ball. Just absolutely like magnet to moth to a flame.
I mean, and it wasn't Karchenkov's best game tonight either. Like, we're not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Karchenkov was unbelievable, but he always finds ways to impact games positively, whether it's, him not scoring necessarily like he has in the last couple games, but like defensively nails all the time, consistent as hell, right? And then obviously, he brings it from a rebounding standpoint. Tonight, he also, I think he factored in with 6 assists as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me double check. Karchenkov, 6 assists, 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
Man, what a player.
And 4 offensive rebounds. We're talking about that Brayden Burries dagger, long 22 feet. That came off of an Ivan Karchenkov offensive rebound on a Jaden Bradley missed shot. And, that rebound, it was a really solid one as well. I mean, I think that, like I said, he just finds a way to make winning plays, even when he's not scoring 13, 15 points like he's given you in the last couple games. So, great performance, second chance points, large part due to the rebounding performances of Waco and Karchenkov tonight.
Can I give you a live update from Corey Williams? And this is something I can share for sure. He sent to a group chat with me and Saul. I guess Corey is calling the BYU game in Provo, I guess,
okay,
or something going on. Or maybe he's just watching it on TV with the volume really high, because he goes, BYU down 28 at home. AJ is 4 for 12, down 30 now. Fans are booing.
Wow.
Booing in Provo.
Is it C-tier YU basketball now?
Nah, dude.
Are we moving them down to the C-tier, or what's going on with BYU?
They're playing UCFs. We like UCF. UCF season on the line in many ways. Like, this is underrated about the Big 12, is we talk a lot about how, like, we've kind of in these tier rankings, if you tuned in, we do tier rankings once a week, talking Big 12, everything from S down to D in terms of the tiers in this conference. We've been asked a lot. I think Roberto, the coffee guy, has asked us multiple times about, like, are we sure the Big 12 is as good as we thought it was? Because we have a lot of D-tier teams, a lot of C-tier teams, a couple S-tier teams, one or two A-tier teams, right? I feel like that you're going to see just how good the Big 12 is down the stretch of this season, because team seasons are on the line. And you're going to start seeing teams like Cincinnati come through and start playing great basketball. Baylor almost knocked us off tonight. UCF's doing it to BYU right now.
Yeah.
Cincy just did it to Kansas a couple days ago in Fog Allen. The biggest margin Fog Allen has seen during Bill Self's time. So I think, like, when we talk about how good the Big 12 is, it kind of is like an any given Sunday kind of thing, to steal an NFL thing. That some of these teams at the bottom of the conference, right, like a Cincinnati, a Baylor, a TCU, a UCF to a lesser extent, they can catch the best teams in this conference. They really can, because they're talented enough. The coaches are good enough. Like, the environments are crazy enough, and the money is good enough in these conferences to where, I mean, you got PJ Haggerty rotting away on K-State. You know what I mean? Like, this is a talented conference, and even though the bottom of the conference might not be looking the best because they're playing the Houstons, Iowa States, Arizonas, Kansases, Texas Techs, BYUs 3 nights a week, when the season's on the line, when it's time to come make tournament time and nut up, they're doing their job, and they're making it really hard on these top-tier teams, and you're seeing the depth of the Big 12 right now, in my opinion. I think that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that, I said it a couple of times on this show, on the pregame show, Baylor is better than, I think, a 4-11 in conference team. But they played a lot of really, really good basketball teams in the Big 12. Like, you think about Arizona's schedule. Imagine now you have to play an Arizona caliber team added on, an extra time. And that's essentially what, all of the non-top 5 teams in this conference have to face, is they have to play Arizona, Houston, Texas Tech, BYU, Kansas, and they probably have to play 2 of them twice. I mean, it's Iowa State as well. I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal.
It's nuts,
that's
man.
Almost like, if you lose the games you're supposed to lose, that's almost, you're going into every season with 7 losses right there in conference play. The margin for error becomes that thin. Another interesting result tonight, Kevin, and I don't want to make it, go off too far on a tangent, but we're just talking Big 12 and kind of these middling teams. But West Virginia, I know that you've been kind of campaigning for them to be a tournament team as of late. And, they've had the winning record in conference for large portions of this season. They lose in overtime at Oklahoma State tonight.
Oh.
Tough loss, dude.
Ross Hodge, come on. You got lutzed.
That's a tough loss.
You got lutzed.
I think if you win that game, you're giving yourself a really good shot to make the tourney here. Because that's probably one of your tougher games to end the year. And to lose an OT, that's tough, man. That's tough.
The tournament would have loved Trace and Eaglestaff, man. Trace and Eaglestaff would have honor Huff in the tournament, man. Come on. But yeah, I mean, Gerald Lloyd in the chat saying UCF is shooting nearly 60% from the field. Oh, BYU defense has been bad all year. You lose Richie Saunders, and now it is Swiss cheese, Ernie.
I mean, it sounds like, Fulks is taking every shot again like he was against Arizona. No, Fulks is actually 6 of 13. But do you remember that?
Yeah.
Throwback to when Fulks was going Dame Lillard mode on us for a half of basketball. And you're sitting there and you're like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, and that's a funny comment there, Bank. But anyway.
Let's do our love the play of the game, Kevin, of which there was a great second half of which amount of plays to, do the love the play of the game, sponsored by our friends at Arizona Lottery. Head on over to any Arizona Lottery kiosk and, play and win today. But yeah, there's so many good second half moments in particular. The first half was pretty light. You look at the clips that Arizona basketball is putting out on their Twitter. There's like one clip from the first half. Second half, absolute Karchenkov. Kevin, you go ahead and start us off. What do you got?
I'm going to go with a hot take, Damon. I know we discussed this pre-show, and I'm kind of going against the plans we had. I am not going to pick the play that we discussed pre-show.
Wow.
I'm going to go with a play that maybe y'all haven't even fully seen.
Why do you hate Brayden Burries?
Nah, relax.
It's the question people have been asking since the top of the show.
Back. When I tell you the play, it's all going to make sense. I'm going to go with Jack Murphy stealing the ball from Tommy Lloyd before the Baylor timeout. I forget the score and circumstance. It's on my Twitter right now. It's also on our Twitter at PHNX_Wildcats. You can check it out there. But there's a timeout called by Baylor. Brayden Burries is being aggressive. Jaden Bradley's-esque. And he's trying to poke the ball away before the guy can call the timeout, get a cheap steal, maybe knock it off the guy, whatever. Timeout called. Burries reaches, deflects towards Arizona's bench. 1 bounce, 2 bounce. Lloyd bends over at the hip to pick it up. Jack Murphy, give me that. Give me that, coach. Grabs it. 1 dribble, picks it up, goes over to make sure everybody's coming back to the bench like a real assistant coach should. Absolute cinema from Jack Murphy, and that's my play of the game because I've never seen anything like it.
Kevin, in a moment where the defensive intensity needed to take a step up.
True.
And who's laying it all out on the floor?
Jack Murphy.
None other than Jack Murphy, who's willing to dive to get to a loose ball before his head coach has to dare bend over and pick it up. Tommy, how dare you? You worry about what we need to tell the team.
Go work the refs, man.
Yeah. You let me pick up the basketball. Love the hustle. You absolutely love the hustle out of Jack Murphy and just lead by example, Kevin. You know what? And we're going to need to get Coach Chappelle back on the show. We're going to tell Coach Chappelle, Jack Murphy's beating you at basketballs, loose balls. No one should be beating Coach Chappelle to loose balls.
I mean, we know Emoy is. Because Emoy's the GOAT.
I feel like if we did throw that at Coach Chappelle, he would actually take that personally.
Yeah, we can't mess with the coaching flow. Like we would get in his head and he would start diving for loose balls.
He would legitimately be like, "Do I actually need to start showing some extra hustle here on the sidelines?"
Yeah, he is built like that.
Something to think about. I do love that play. That is a great call, Kevin. I'm just gonna steal what everybody else is thinking.
Go for it.
Brayden Burries on your head. Killed a man, took his soul, embarrassed him. He had a family, as Justin Spears said. Had a family, implying that he's dead, as I said on our Twitter page. That was disgusting. Jackson Francois losing his mind on the bench. Kevin, your favorite. Yeah, I mean, just a unreal dunk out of Brayden Burries. And I feel like with that dunk, you could hear him flying up NBA draft boards.
Yeah.
You could hear it in live time nationally across 30 NBA cities in this great country of ours and, of course, Canada. And literally 30 NBA draft boards simultaneously went Brayden Burries. That's the sound of Brayden Burries flying up into the lottery on everyone's board. Unbelievable. Athleticism, crazy. Ayrton came in here, Ayrton's son's producer, and said, we gotta chill. We gotta chill on the Devin Booker comparisons. Because Book isn't getting up like that.
Just incredible stuff.
Devin Booker with athleticism. That's coming from a Suns guy who's saying that. We weren't shooting high enough with Devin Booker.
Man. I mean, just nuts.
And Brayden Burries proven to everybody he's not sick anymore.
No.
Here's a dunk to prove it.
And if he is, watch out for when he's 100%. If this is 90% Brayden Burries, my word. My word. But yeah, no, I mean, he is, if he compare that athleticism with what he's already doing and continue to develop that, he is, right now, Damon, like I have him at 8 on my big board that I'm working on, still shuffling, still researching, I'm trying to make sure it's actually researched.
You got him at 8 now?
I've had him at 8 this whole time. Yeah. I've had him at 8 this whole time.
Jalen Williams.
He's behind a couple guys that I won't name because this is going to be diehard only, members only content. So we're going to talk about it on the live show, but maybe like the top 10 or whatnot, and then leave the rest to the diehards that want to see it later. But I'll say I have him at 8, and he's behind some guys that I think is going to be really tough for him to like overcome the ceiling of what their potential could be. But it's time to start having the conversation, right? Like there's a ton of conversations going on around like, ooh, is Michael Brown Jr. or Kingston Flemings, or is it Darius Acuff Jr. or Michael Brown Jr.? And I think Brayden Burries, maybe it's because of his age, maybe it's because he's technically like 20-ish, whatever, but like he needs to be thrown in these conversations, man. Like the way he's playing on one of the best teams in the country, that's like not being talked about as well. Michael Brown can shoot 100 shots on Louisville. Louisville ain't winning any games. They're mid. I mean, they're ranked. Don't get me wrong. But it's different, right? It's just different what Brayden Burries is being asked to do and the stakes for which he's asked to do them versus the stakes. And I love Michael Brown Jr. Spoiler alert, he's ahead of Brayden Burries. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just different. And I think people need to start having that conversation of, I want to hear his name more is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Really sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off there, Kevin. I was just going to say, when you made that comparison a little bit earlier of like, Brayden Burries you think is the best transition guard in college basketball, and you're like maybe Michael Brown Jr. It's hard for me to even compare those two players. I was going to say, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, and started talking about it a little bit there. They just play such different roles, and Brayden Burries is asked to be and has been the best player on a machine of a team where you got to fit into your role. And your role is a little bit more set and defined, right? And you're not just going to be tasked with being the offense of the Louisville Cardinals over the course of 40 minutes on every night. Michael Brown Jr. is shooting like 10 plus 3-pointers a night, Kevin. And Brayden Burries is Mr. Efficiency. It feels like he's, he only needs 13 shots, 8 makes to put up 24. That's Brayden Burries' ball. And yeah, like maybe that Michael Brown Jr. style fits with an NBA team because that's, volume and, being a guy who can rebound and assist and, put up a ton of stats, be a kind of a stat pattern like Michael Brown is very, people are envious of that. They want that from a draft prospect standpoint. But at the collegiate level, give me the guy who's going to be way more efficient with the basketball, who, every decision goes into, how can I help my team win a national championship? How is this team going to win it all? Whereas I feel like Michael Brown Jr. is maybe a little bit more about what kind of check could I get at Louisville? And how many shots am I going to be allowed to get up on a nightly basis? And not to say they're like a terrible team, but like it does feel like that role is something that he almost needed in his school. Whereas clearly that wasn't Brayden Burries' absolute desire. He went to a team that already had Jaden Bradley, Koa Pete committed. Like,
he could have went to Oregon. He could have went to USC.
And he could have been the man.
Yeah.
But him
and Elijah Arenas would average 60 a night.
Yeah, but he wanted to play at Arizona.
Yeah.
And that's why I want that player every day of the week.
And I will say, the only thing I will push back on, but I ultimately agree with the point you were making, just semantics wise, I'm a semantics guy. Like, I do love what Michael Brown offers, and I do think it's real. And I think him averaging, like, I don't have it in front of me, but like 19-5 and whatever with a bad back earlier on in this year is insane. The playmaking is nuts. He's just grew to like 6'5", 6'6", so he's dealing with the growth spurt, and his playmaking at this size is nuts. But at my core of the conversation, and Damon and I can agree on this for sure, and so can Chris Tricks, Burries needs more national respect. And the skill set that he offers, you cannot just find at your run-of-the-mill freshman guard. Freshman guard. It'd be one thing if Brayden Burries was like a Cam Carr, respectfully. Like a third year, played 2 years at one school, or like a Joshua Jefferson who played at St. Mary's and then comes to the Big 12. This is his first year in college basketball. This is what he's doing. For one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. So I'm all in on Brayden Burries right now. I think tonight was a great opportunity for him to show what he's all about, albeit recovering from that illness that he seemingly is all back from. But yeah, Brayden Burries, what an insane player. And honestly,
the athleticism is just it really is like, I feel like it's almost different level than what we saw at the beginning of the season. And I feel like maybe that's just more of like an opportunity thing. But Kevin, one thing I noticed tonight, every single time that he's like getting the ball at the top of the key and he's hitting them with like a kind of like a side step and then going in a different direction, it's working every single time. But like the guy, whoever's defending Brayden Burries is biting on every single fake that he's making, because I think that's what you see. That's top end athleticism at play in real time, of like, oh my God, he's going that way, and then he ends up going this way and flying right past people. And if he gets ahead of steam, it's over, because we know that he's finishing through contact. He'll put an elbow straight into you, put you under the basket, get himself an easy finish. Like he really is just unbelievably athletic, strong. And then you see the leaping ability with that dunk tonight. Like he has to be flying up draft boards. He's probably higher than Ko on most draft boards at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of like, I feel like, with all due respect to Cole Pete that he deserves, like probably not healthy for the last 3 games he did play, but like it feels like that has to be the sane take, the rational take at this point. Like it feels like if I see Cole Pete above Brayden Burries right now in a mock, I'm not gonna like flip my stuff about it, but I would raise an eyebrow as to what they're seeing and what I'm not seeing, because I feel like Cole Pete just has further to go. And maybe I don't know.
That would probably just be maybe a positional thing. I would think of like, hey, this, kind of high-end athleticism power forward, if we can just teach him how to shoot the basketball, he's going to be a really good player for a really long time. Whereas guards are maybe thought of as more a dime a dozen, but I don't know that that's necessarily fair either. I do think Brayden will be picked ahead of Koa if you put a gun to my head right now, if it was that serious.
Today, yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely where Koa Pete, like we talked about it many times on this pod, like goes crazy in March and everyone's like, how do you deal with this physical force? And then he shoots up the draft boards. But how great is it to live in a time where we have 2 guys that were like, who's going to go higher in the lottery? Is it going to be Burries going top 10 and maybe the most loaded class in the last decade? Or is it going to be Koa Pete? Or is it going to be both? Porque los dos, whatever the hell it is in Spanish.
Or Karchenkov.
Oh, man.
Who, I think, we certainly want him to come back for another season, but you see him building up some momentum to be a first-round draft pick.
Krivas getting love, too.
I think Vicini was tweeting about Karchenkov the other day. And
he was.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of love for a guy like that who has an NBA body right now, NBA IQ, obviously, and just an elite defender. Ivan Karchenkov is. Yeah, insane. He's nuts. Guys, if you haven't become a diehard yet, it's just another way to elevate your fandom here at PHNX Sports to an entirely new level. We got a $36 Combine diehard sale. All sorts of great draft coverage on the horizon here. You can get access to Fran Duffy's NFL draft preview there, his big board, where he'll give you some prospect breakdowns on guys like Trayden Stukes, as well as Genesis Smith. We'll see you on Dalton Johnson. Maybe a little bit too far outside the rankings there, but certainly Trayden Stukes and Genesis Smith will get a breakdown from our guy Fran Duffy of AllCITY Network and PHLY Sports. But Combine diehard sale, $36. You get a $35 t-shirt as part of it. You get that red line t-shirt that Kevin and I came up with during the football season. Be on the lookout for a potential basketball t-shirt. Kevin and I may be going to start pitching some ideas around here to try to get something made in that department. And appreciate everybody that is a diehard right now. Discord access, events, discounts. What are some of the things I'm missing as well? Some other things that we got for diehards.
I mean,
we're trying to come up with new ideas all the time.
This big board is a part of it.
Yes, Kevin's NBA draft big board that he's doing is going to be a part of diehard only content. So we're always trying to add some special perks that you guys can get through that. Discord membership, like I said, Kevin and mine unfiltered, which can be a little bit dangerous. I have to leave some of the stuff that I say off of the actual internet. But if you pay us money, you get to see some of the crazy thoughts that are running through my head on a day-to-day basis. So take control of that diehard discount, $36 for the year. It's a great deal. It's the best deal that you'll get all season long. And then, of course, Kevin, we're going to talk a little bit of Kansas, Arizona.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit of teaser for Kansas, Arizona, and get on out of here because that is the matchup on everybody's mind at this point. Now that Arizona has got the W today, most importantly, you get the win against Baylor, and you're not at full strength and all this and that. Huge, huge win for Arizona against Baylor. Now you move on to a revenge game against Kansas. You only got 2 losses this year. One of them is to Kansas in Fog Allen. Excusable circumstances, the whole 9. I wonder if Koa Pete's back for this one.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like he was trying to ramp up for this game. I'm not saying that it seemed like he was trying to play in this game, but it felt like he was trying to test out his body, see what he had going on pregame in terms of, the muscle, the leg, whatever the hell it was. If he's healthy for Saturday, that's big for Arizona.
I'm laughing at your tweet.
Oh,
middle of our show, Kevin's getting some meme content off, and he's crushing me, bro.
Was it the Brayden Burries climbing up the NBA mock draft tweet with the dude on the high skis? From
yes,
the
I get a notification as to a Kevin Thomas tweet, and I just see some Norwegian skier running up the mountain. Unbelievable. Check out at Kevo Posts on Twitter if you guys aren't following Kevin or haven't seen the tweet yet. Hilarious.
It is a funny one. I do love the Winter Olympics, but Koa Pete. If he's a good to go on Saturday, that is huge for the Arizona Wildcats and getting back in the win column against Kansas specifically and getting revenge for what happened in the dreaded Fog Allen. I think not only that, I'm not, going to go the crazy tinfoil hat route that some people on Twitter have been doing, but if Dwayne Aristode can't play against Kansas, it does, at this point, I feel like he has to get healthy at some point, Damon, right? But I would be genuinely concerned if he can't play against Kansas as to, what has he got? What has he got that is lasting this long to get out of his system? And, I say this with all sincerity,
nothing good.
Is he okay? At this point, I would like an update. I know that Jason Shear was having some conversation with people on Twitter today about the program doesn't have to share any updates in relation to injury. It kind of benefits them to keep it close to the chest, right? I'm not saying that they should come out and be like, Dwayne's okay, guys. We're just stashing him for Kansas. I'm not saying that, but maybe can we get a Dwayne Aristode social post of him drinking chicken noodle soup or can we get a sign that things are moving in the right direction here with his health? Brayden Burries after the game is posting up here's my IV, guys. I'm getting an IV. I was not healthy. I'm trying to get healthy. Meanwhile, it's radio silence from Dwayne Aristode. We hear from people on Twitter that he's going to the gym. He's getting his shots up. He's doing this. He's doing that. In between, people see him going back and forth. But I would just love maybe Dwayne to come out and be like, guys, I feel not great. I'm trying to get better. Pray for me, figure it out, whatever you want to do with your whatever, I'm going to be all right. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't need the program to come out and be like, he's unhealthy or he is healthy or share any personal medical information or what he's got or none of that. But just a simple him watching Stranger Things in the bed with a sick emoji and a prayer emoji would be awesome right about now. That's all I'm saying. But either way, Arizona, Saturday, in my opinion, you can beat Kansas without Koa Pete with these guys. We've seen them beat Houston, right, without Koa Pete and these guys. But you'd really love to have Koa Pete against a Kansas team that probably would have Darren Peterson in that matchup. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe this team is truly just different. But I feel like you only have so many trips back to the well without Koa Pete, without Dwayne Aristo, with a banged up ADO and whatnot, before it's like, nah, we just didn't have the horses tonight. And you know what I mean? Like, if you come out in that first half against KU the way you came out in that first half against Baylor, you're getting put to the woodshed. You know what I mean? So I think I really want to see a healthy Arizona team. And if they're not healthy, they can get it done. But I'm concerned. Where are you at with Saturday?
I think Dwayne Aristo is out until further notice. I'm now just like assuming Dwayne Aristo is out until I see him tangibly with the rest of the basketball team in a uniform on the bench. It's done for now. Koa Pete being a game time decision today at least gives me hope that he's going to be close to being able to go against Kansas. Maybe it's a similar situation. Maybe it's another game time decision. It didn't feel like he was going to play tonight. It felt like it was a game time decision kind of, but that's maybe a little bit of mind games being played with Baylor. Also being like, I don't know, Koa, go test it. See how it feels. And we had, I believe it was Owen Leonard saying that he was dunking in warmups. And I don't know if he was there in Waco at the game or not, but looking fairly spry if he's able to, be dunking, right? And especially with that lower leg injury, I think, given that it's a Tuesday game, given that it was a game time decision, now he has 5 days rest in between, or 4.5 days rest. I think Koa Pete, probably 50-50, if not a little bit better, to go against Kansas on Saturday. And if you have Koa Pete, I feel great about Arizona's chances. If you don't have Koa Pete, Arizona can still win the game. They're at home. They've shown that they can beat upper echelon teams. But you're right. Like, it does feel like you've almost emptied the tank a little bit on the short rotation of like, oh, okay, now it's time to maybe get some of the actual rotation back. And let's start ramping up for conference tournament, NCAA tournament, and because now you're going to have to start playing your best basketball of the season and peaking at the right time. And that includes Koa Pete being out there. That includes Dwayne Aristo to a lesser extent, but like, he's a key rotation piece. You don't have the biggest rotation in the world, and he's a guy that is your eighth man who's a top 50 recruit and can defend 1 through 4.5, like we talked about. Like, it's a key piece, especially with foul trouble that can accumulate in a postseason run. Like, so yeah, I'm feeling like Koa's going to be like 60-40 to play against Kansas, and hopefully he's ready to go.
Yeah, and I think, like, for example, with the running out of like gas with the short rotation thing, I don't know. I don't want to disrespect the man, but like, if I see Evan Nelson switched on to like Darren Peterson on Saturday, I'm gonna be stressed, is what I'll say. I'm not gonna say he's cooked. I'm not gonna say it's barbecue chicken, but as a fan, I'll be stressed if I see like,
Come on, bro.
That's real though. Is that not real?
Darren Peterson's worst nightmare is Evan Nelson.
All right, man.
The Darren Peterson stopper. That's what
Darren Peterson likely to never have ever had a Sonoran dog. Evan Peterson likely to have had at least 25.
They know that Evan Nelson is the Darren Peterson stopper, and they don't want that matchup.
For sure. Either way, I would love to see Arizona healthy Saturday, because I do think the short rotation would cause some issues against a team like Kansas. And if Evan Nelson aside, right, CD Gay against Flory Badunga, that's a fun matchup. It's an interesting matchup, but I don't know if I want to see it this year. Maybe give it to me next year if Flory's still in college or whatnot that situation is. But yeah, I would love to see Arizona at least back to 80% strength. You know what I mean? Get Koa Pete back at least. I don't even care if it's like short minutes or what. Just see if he can do what he needs to do. But I would love to see Koa Pete play Saturday. If they're not playing Saturday, like Damon and I said, it's gonna be a banger game, and Arizona can still win it. We're gonna be previewing it all here. As UCF, by the way, up 81-56 on BYU at BYU. 6:23 left in that one as well, Damon. So lots going on.
Man, what a season that never was.
Okay.
I'm being serious.
If I was a BYU fan,
I've heard a lot about BYU, unbelievable football season. Don't even make college football playoff. Don't even win a bowl game. BYU, wow, we got the number 1 recruit in the country. We have the highest paid transfer in the country. We got Richie Saunders back. We're unbelievable. We have an NBA coach. Terrible season. 7 seed. 8 seed maybe.
Yeah. No, like I was going to say, like, if I was a BYU fan, I'd be disappointed in this season. right? But I think ultimately, like,
This is what we like to call shots fired, sponsored by Three Amigos Tequila. BYU fans.
What? This isn't a pregame show.
BYU fans. What happened to that big scary basketball team you got?
Oh, man.
What happened?
Look, man, speaking of big and scary. Oh, wait. No,
Swept
speaking of
by the Wildcats.
Speaking of small and not intimidating, Mick Cronin is in a dogfight with USC right now, 51-46 on his home turf right now. So
wow,
Elijah Arenas and company making it tough. Or at least Chad Baker-Mazara is with 19 on 5 for 8 from 3. My word.
19, 7 less points than years old that Chad Baker-Mazara is. Tough. At least it's not double digits.
We gotta go, man. I don't know if I can recover from that.
Yeah, we got to get out of here. We're gonna be previewing Kansas versus Arizona rest of the week. It's a top 15 matchup here on PHNX Sports Channel, AZ Wildcats podcast with Damon and Kevin. We love hanging out with you guys, talking post game, talking about Arizona athletics,
talking about Chad Baker-Mazara's old ass.
Chad Baker-Mazara's old ass, which I got to be careful, man, because he's actually as old as me. Here's what I will say though, like, brother. I got a master's degree. I've been out of school for 2.5 years, 3 years. The hell are you doing, bro? How are you still in
Gotta
hoops?
get a LinkedIn like Fernando Mendoza. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable. But of course, you want to.
Baker-Mazara uses icy hot before every game. Baker-Mazara is using a Werther's candy to feel something before the game, bro. Man.
Drinking prune juice after it's all said and done.
Wow,
good for the digestive health, Kevin.
That was awesome.
Getting up for the early bird special in the morning.
Oh, my God, dude. No, it really is crazy, dog. Like, you reach a certain age, and maybe this is like armchair quarterback of me, you know, who let this guy have a podcast mic of me. But, like, dude.
Come on,
me
bro.
Personally, I would reach a certain age, and I know the money is incredible, but don't you got to feel kind of – you can take the money, but don't you got to feel kind of bad? No? You're like, man, I'm kind of grown playing against, like, Keaton Vogler, who hasn't even hit his growth spurt yet, and, like – you know what I mean? Like, you're D'ing up, like, dudes on the other team who don't even have grown man strength because they're not grown men. And you got grown man strength because you're a grown man. And I would take the check. I'm no bigger than nobody else, right? Like, if I was one more year in the sport for a couple mil and maybe a couple embarrassing tweets, or my career ends 1 year earlier and I don't get that money, I'm probably going to take the money if I'm Chad Baker-Mazara, right? You have to. But
I mean, you could play professional hoops if you're Chad Baker-Mazara.
Is the money the same?
Not NBA hoops, but
is the money the same?
What's that USC bag really looking like? Is it
probably
that crazy?
Nice. Because they're not paying nobody this year, right?
I guess, man. What happened to shame? No such thing as shame in the Big 26, Kevin.
Died a long time ago. I think shame, low-key, we can end on this. I think shame died with, like, TikTok and, like, Vine and stuff. Like, I think once you could record yourself, like, covered in peanut butter with eggshells all over you and make a weird noise and it would get 1 million views, I think that's when shame died. You know what I mean? We can talk about that off air. But shame died when you could do stuff like that on Vine and get famous.
A brutal death. A brutal death.
Here lies shame.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And it's just a picture of Chad Baker-Mazara and Tyron Grant Foster and every old ass dude who plays college hoops. Who was that kid that
went to visit Maryland that I think tried to go to ASU like a half a decade ago?
Bro, who's the dude who's visiting GCU who was in the league?
Amari Bailey, right?
Absolute loser.
Starts with a K. Man, chat, help me out. He was like an Arizona State commit, like literally in 2016 or something. Like a long time ago. Kyrie Walker? Kyrie, looking it up. Kyrie Walker, American basketball player. Yeah. Is an American professional basketball player. Interesting that the overview calls him a professional despite him visiting Maryland a couple weeks ago. Oh, he plays for the Nalike Bison of the league. Huh.
Who could forget?
Yeah, who could forget the professional team he plays for, even though he's trying to play for a college team actively, and he's 25.
Bison Nation.
Born in 2000, Damon.
Damn.
I was born in 2001.
I mean, Chad Baker-Mazara and I are the same age, brother.
This is ridiculous, man.
I guess I should be rooting for Chad Baker-Mazara to stay in college hoops as long as possible, because then at least I can feel like I can talk crap on like 19-year-olds and be like, what do you mean? I'm the same age as college basketball players.
We could be teammates.
Yeah.
I still got eligibility.
You go, aren't you 27? Yeah, but Chad Baker-Mazara just got his 8th year of eligibility, so it's all chill.
Dog, that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Maybe I gotta change my tune on that. I'll workshop that one off air. In the meantime, follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. That's KEVOPOSTS. Follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. And of course, we'll be live from 2 p.m. All the rest of the week, Wednesday through Friday, and then we got Saturday pregame, postgame show for Kansas, Arizona. Top 15 matchup. Can't wait for that one. So guys, be here for that. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you haven't done so already. Give us both a follow. Follow our main account. And of course, we'll see you on tomorrow's show at 2 p.m. But in the meantime, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. That's 3 W's in a row. James Najee, you absolutely stink.
We all silly like the mayor.